In every Swisstrax install, I think you want to spend some time preparing the floor. My floor was pretty clean to begin with. What I did was sweep the edges with a broom, and then use a push broom to gather the bulk of the dirt, and then I followed with a shop vac to really deep clean the floor and have it prepared. Other things you may want to do if your floor is really dirty, you have mud, salt, debris, after you've swept it, you may want to mop it. You may even want to use a pressure washer and some cleaning solution to get the floor really clean. This is your one time to really get in and prepare the floor for the installation, so I would spend some time here. So you want to gather your tools. Don't get too hung up on your tool choice here. You can use really anything to cut Swisstrax tile. What I used in this application was a really elaborate, really expensive floor tile cutter. I actually bought this from Swisstrax a number of years ago. It has a 16-inch blade, which functions best for cutting a floor tile. You can also use, which most of us have, some sort of circular saw where you set the depth, and you could use a circular saw right on a sheet of plywood on a table and not damage the table. It doesn't really matter the thickness. And every circular saw on the side of it has a knob where you can adjust or set the depth or the angle. So what you want to do is you want to lay or set the circular saw's guide on top of the tile, and then you want the blade to be just touching the sheet of plywood. And you'll notice as I run my blade across the plywood, it scores the plywood, which is ensuring that I'm cutting all the way through my tile. I found that a 54 tooth Milwaukee, very specific blade that I have here that I'm using on my D handle, Milwaukee circular saw, that tends to function best. And if you don't have a floor tile cutter, I do think a circular saw is your best option, table saw being second best. You also need, for any install, you're going to need some Sharpies, various colors. I use black on a gray tile. You may want a silver Sharpie if you're going to be cutting any black stuff, any black tile. You are going to need generally some sort of straight edge, a level, like a 2 foot, maybe 4 foot level. 2 foot should be sufficient, and maybe possibly a speed square. Also, I like to have a knee pad for this application. Makes making your cuts against the wall much more enjoyable and easier to do. The other thing you need for the install, you're going to want a sharp razor blade, one that isn't going to hurt your hand, because you will be using this quite a bit to cut off some of the pegs or some of the loops. You're going to be using it occasionally to make a relief cut, and then make some odd angled or odd cuts where you may have something sticking out where you need to cut the tile around. The Swisstrax tiles are 3/4 of an inch thick. There are 2 ends that have loops, 2 ends that have pegs. You also have the option on your edge piece to choose a looped or pegged version. We're always going to choose, in almost all applications, a looped version of an edge piece. When you look at the tiles, they are gifted a channel for water to run underneath. And these particular Swisstrax, these are the Ribtrax version, where the top of the tile is curved, and which allows the dirt to fall underneath. And if you were to vacuum, you would just suck the dirt right up through it. But notice when you go to pull the tile apart, you would always pull up on the pegged section to separate the tile. Remember, when you're designing your floor virtually on the Floor Designer, you don't have to critically choose where your border is going to go. You just need to make sure you have enough tile. This is the step where we're going to choose how our border is going to lay out in the room. In my application, I decided to do 1 gray tile up next to the garage door, and then start my border there, because the garage was only 21 feet deep. In a deeper garage, I may start the border 2 tiles in. So once I set that border, that's going to dictate how the whole floor is going to sit in the room. So what you want to do is lay out the first couple of tiles, lay it across the door area of the garage, then insert your looped edge pieces, and then you can tap those 2 rows of tile. You can tap them into place. Remember, this is critical. You want it to be as square as possible, and you want it to be up to the edge. In this particular garage, I have a bit of a transition, so I'm not able to tuck my edge pieces all the way up next to the garage door, but many times you would want to just kick the floor up next to the garage door and butt it up against your insulation. For my garage, I was able to bring the edges right up to where the transition goes from the garage floor to the exterior of the house, which is a little bit of a stem wall or a little water retainer, and that's where my edge piece is going to go, and that's where my floor is going to start. You want to be able to lay your pegs on top of the loops to make your installation, to make laying out the floor simpler. In this particular case, I had actually started laying out all the gray tile and I missed a black tile. Luckily, I didn't lay out a large section of the floor. I was able to pop the tile up. Remember pulling your pegged section off of the loops and popping in a new tile, and then slowly laying the floor out from in this case, if we were looking at the garage doors, from left to right. If you were to do it in the opposite direction, you would have to physically lift the tile to install the next tile. So this will make your life so much easier, and this is why we choose to do looped edge pieces instead of the pegged version. Because my black border, I wanted to set it up on the edge of each garage door and just carry a big rectangle across the whole room. That dictated I was going to have cuts on each side of the room. Now's the point where you invite your kids, your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, depending on how big your floor is, to help you lay these out. This is hard to mess up as long as you're following along and making sure your border is where you want it to be. Remember, we're setting up your border on the fly. The floor is still floating, so you do have the ability, even a large floor, to kick it around and center it up if something starts to shift a bit while you're installing. But remember, the garage door section where your edge pieces sit is most critical. If it were to slide forward because somebody stepped on the floor and skidded it forward, you want to make sure you're keeping an eye on that as you're laying out the floor. Once you get 4 or 5 rows in, the floor does sit pretty nicely and doesn't move around. The difficult part of the cuts. You want to make sure you measure in 2 locations, because in most garages the walls aren't perfectly straight, or it's possible that you have your floor shifted slightly. It's okay if that's the case. You just want to make sure you take 2 dimensions, one on each side or each area of the tile, on the left and right side or the top and bottom, however you're looking at it. So you take 2 dimensions, mark it with a Sharpie, take it over to either your floor tile cutter or your circular saw, and draw yourself a straight line if you're using a circular saw, and make sure that you're cutting the tile. You may need to shift or rotate the tile if you're using a floor tile cutter in order to make that cut if it's not a perfect straight line. Will make a big difference in your installation if you do take 2 measurements instead of just measuring in the middle. You'll have a more accurate, straighter looking floor if you carry the tile at the same angle of the wall. As you approach the back of the garage, you may notice that your angle, your growth of angle gets bigger and bigger, but you want to be as accurate as possible. Straight cuts are the easiest. The second easiest cut is making a corner cut, where you need to cut the tile on 2 sides. Remember, each one of these tiles are like $7. You want to take your time, measure twice, cut once. But keep in mind, you're likely, especially if you have a large garage, you're making lots of cuts, you're likely going to make a few miscuts as you lose concentration. So I would take time. It also is helpful if you have somebody kind of watching your back. Make sure you're measuring from the correct side of the tile and cutting in the correct direction. Once you do your corner, then I'd like to work on some of the more elaborate cuts. I like this L-shaped cut that I'm going to work on by the garage door here. I'm making sure to take and make several measurements in order to get the angle and make it as accurate as possible. You can always make this easier by making straight cuts and just having your floor not perfect, but I prefer to take the extra time and make the cut accurately. I actually was able to use the floor tile cutter to make this cut, and I was only able to do that because this has a shorter 16-inch blade on a 24-inch floor tile cutter. But these cuts are much easier in most instances to cut with a circular saw or even a jigsaw if you have a more elaborate setup. There are certain instances, like when I was cutting this edge piece, where I have an edge piece butt up to a tile. So in this case, I cut the loop off. It's okay to do that occasionally, where there is no portion on an edge piece that's able to connect to a loop. So you cut the loop off so your edge piece can butt up to your incomplete tile that you cut in order to finish a section. You could choose to carry your edge piece further. I wanted to terminate the edge piece at the edge of the garage door. It just made sense to me. There's no right or wrong way to do this. You just want to do it so that it looks good for your application. You will notice that even though you've laid out your floor smartly, the side of the garage where there are pegs, in my case, if I'm looking at the garage door, the left side of the garage, I do have to lift up each tile. But there is a smarter way to lay these things out. You want to lay out the tile where you don't have to lift two edges. You only want to lift one edge when you're tucking a tile in place. The other thing you want to make sure you do, especially if you have nice freshly painted baseboards like I have, you want to create a pyramid as you're lifting and installing your new cut tile. If you try to jam your tile in on the baseboard, you'll scratch it and have to repaint it, maybe even re-putty it. So make sure you take care to do that. The tile are somewhat flexible, so you want to utilize that flex to your advantage if you can help it. Cutting edge pieces is the same as cutting the regular tile. You would measure the edge piece. This is where you'll commonly make a mistake and usually don't have a lot of extra edge pieces. Make sure you're measuring from the correct side. Your natural tendency is going to be to cut the wrong side and cut the thing incorrectly. So make sure you take the extra time to hold it up, hold it in place, get your mind straight so that way you know which way you need to make the cut. You can cut an edge piece with any kind of cutter, any kind of saw. Another tool that you'll want for installation as well as for the future, if you ever spill something or need to pop up a tile for cleaning, regular maintenance, especially if you live in an area where there's snow, is you really want to get one of these floor tile poppers. Our friend Sean up in Saskatchewan, Canada, makes these for us. We generally have these in stock. You want to grab one of these. It is useful when you're installing the edge pieces around the garage. Swisstrax's recommendation when we're making our straight and more elaborate cuts, that you leave at least a 1/16 of an inch, if not an 1/8 of an inch of expansion room. I don't follow those instructions. You can do this at your own risk. I like to pressure fit the floor so there's absolutely no float, no movement. The disadvantage of doing that, if you have direct sunlight, you may get some swelling or expansion of the tile and they'll want to bow up on you. In this garage, I don't have any direct sunlight, so I'm going to make my edges really tight and make it so that the floor is pressure fit from wall to wall. So there are 3 main walls and then small sections of the garage door wall that hold this floor from moving around because the floor is floating in the room.